So the market is pulling back like crazy. And one thing I want to share with y'all is the seasonality of SPY, the S&P 500. So this is just tracking the S&P 500, like the price of it, right? So since September of 2003, this is pretty much how on average SPY moves. You can see right here in this mid-February point, that's an inflection point where we start to see big, I won't call it big deals, but we start to see a pretty clean pullback, which leads us to that April time frame where April is typically one of the best months of the year, and you can see it usually has a strong rise. So I wouldn't be surprised to see markets just get obliterated. Yesterday, Bullard came out right after I talked about. I think in the video yesterday I said I didn't expect to see the Fed do a 50 basis point hike at the March FOMC because the chances was like 50% after CPI. Then he come out and say he want to see 100 basis points by July. Now, I mean, I don't blame him. Inflation crazy. So what's going on right now? I mean, Russia is looking like Russia finna invade Ukraine, so the stock market just went crazy. And I mean, Biden's saying that the invasion is pretty much imminent at this point. So I was saying that I didn't expect to see a significantly higher move in the 10 year. I didn't expect to see a big move after 2% before pulling back to about 1.5, 1.8. But at this point, I don't even know because nothing really makes sense. You look at SPY over the past couple of days. Remember yesterday we was looking at it. I go into the 4 hour time frame. We was looking on the 4 hour time frame. Yesterday it pulled back right here, and we were talking about a retest of that downtrend that it had broke. It bounced. It bounced. And then it just straight plummeted. So remember I was saying you got to watch that into closing because yesterday was a critical day. And you look at that and you got a nasty bearish pin bar. Somebody had posted said this was the bloody teardrop smiley face or something like that. They said that mess had me crying, but you can see here that SPY wasn't able to reclaim that 0.618 field, so the market just looked terrible. Even look at AMD, this thing down like 9%. I mean, everything is getting crushed. And you look at gold, bruh, gold is breaking out like crazy. So I sold all of my shares. I'm not invested in nothing because there is a difference between dip buying and buying overly priced assets. With inflation going crazy like this, and like I've been talking about, when the Fed has to raise rates aggressively and run off a humongous balance sheet, and we can pull that up again. So if we look at the Fed's balance sheet, and I've talked about this in previous videos, they have to they got to bring this down. So I think anything can be deemed overpriced at this point. Even stocks like Target that I thought was in a great pattern, these patterns ain't been working. None been working. So I mean, I don't know if this breaks to the upside or the downside, but I exited my shares. Even stuff like Tilray, I would love to be invested in like something like this right now, but I'm very well aware of the fact that the market could be headed to a recession or just a humongous crash, big pullback. So you look at GLD and GOLD, the Barracks Gold. There's a crazy pennant here, and it's breaking out, right? But if you look at this over the past few years, I mean, you got a crazy cup. I mean, I don't know if a cup and a pennant is a thing, but you finna break out. When inflation as high as it is and showing no signs of slowing down, I mean, this where I want to be at right now. It was something I was watching. I wasn't sure if it was gonna break out or not, but I mean, it look like it's going. And I would just say, like I've been saying, you got to be careful with this stuff. It never looked like a bottom. We had that short to medium term bottom, but as far as I mean, stuff is still overpriced. A lot of stuff is still overpriced. Like what I mean, the Fed got to run off a crazy balance sheet, so I think we see a lot more like brutal beatings in stocks, and I even had to sell my DraftKings shares. And I mean, I'm pretty sick about this one because I thought this was breaking out of a nice little pattern here, and it was gonna run. And it could. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm not gonna stick around to find out. Um, any investment right now, for me at least, until we get to that late March time frame, I feel like is a trade. And once we get some more clarity from the Fed, then we can start talking about long term investment because there's no point. They say buy and hold, but there's no point in holding like when you don't have clarity from the Fed. I mean, you don't know what you're buying, so there's no point in being sitting in something like that when you have something as drastic as this. If we didn't have this balance sheet and we were seeing a pullback or a correction or something like that, I wouldn't be too concerned. But we talking about the balance sheet. What's that? Like about doubled over the past few years, being that the pandemic happened. So I don't believe. I believe this is one of those extraordinary cases where you just don't sit through the pullback. You just wait, and like I said, if something takes off, it's more than likely going to come back. As much as I hated it, I had to sell my Disney shares. I just don't want to be invested right now. In the market just I don't have no type of clarity. But I can consider anything a trade. But I mean, I just won't stay in it too long. So that's just where I'm at with it. Uh, it's gonna be pretty tough. I mean, this thing is really day by day, week by week. Um, you don't really know what's gonna happen the next day. So I would just say, pay attention to your portfolios. Uh, consider things trades more so than long-term investments until we get more clarity from the Fed on where this is going, and or until we get this back down to something that's more normal, or until something like, even though we look at the interest rates, they like stupid low. So, and we look at that over the past 10 years. Look at us, bro. This was the pandemic, and we have to get this back up here. I don't see no reason to be like super heavy, fully invested right now. And anything I buy, I consider it a trade right now until stuff rates and the balance sheet is more normalized. So that's where the market's at. Um, Make sure you like the video, subscribe, comment if you got any questions, anything like that, and uh, definitely join the Discord. And I would say the last thing, ARK. As much as I wanted to get invested in it, I just think let me come back down here. If it's sitting down here in that March time frame, late March time frame, I wouldn't mind taking a shot at it. But we'll see where we headed. I'll holler at y'all for the next video.